Hey everyone! So in this video I'm going to take a little bit of time to explain the course project to you. I know a lot of students, when they see on the syllabus or hear the instructor mention that there's a course project that you're going to be responsible for, it can cause a little bit of anxiety and dread, and especially if you aren't sure of each component, it can be a little unsettling. So I wanted to just take a little bit of time here in week one to briefly explain what the course project is all about so that we can help ease some of that anxiety and you'll know what's to come. So for our course project, you will be writing a research paper. Okay? It will be roughly 4 to 5 pages in length, not including your title page or your references page. That's 4 to 5 pages of essay, from introductory paragraph to concluding paragraph. It will be in APA format, and you will need to have at least 3 to 4 sources. Now, that in and of itself might seem overwhelming. Maybe you haven't done a research paper in a really long time. Maybe you've never really done one. Maybe essays really aren't your strong suit. Maybe you have no idea what APA format is, or maybe you have an idea but you're still very unsure of it. All of that can be very intimidating to hear. But what I want you to know is that that's what we will be working on every week of the course. We're going to start off with basic essay elements. We're going to review introductory paragraphs and thesis statements. We're going to review body paragraphs. We're going to review concluding paragraphs. Then we're going to move in to APA format. You're going to learn the basics of APA format, what it means, what it's all about, what it entails and includes. Then we're going to move into research, best practices for research, finding sources. We're going to look at how to pull information from your sources, how to include that information effectively in your writing, how to properly cite sources when you've used information from them, where to go to find help for how to do your references page. We are going to cover all of that, okay? And the project is broken down into 4 parts so that you can sort of tackle one element at a time as we learn about those elements. So it is a significant part of the course. It is a significant portion of your overall grade. So it is something that you want to take seriously and do your best on. But it is not something where I'm going to give you the assignment in week 1 and say, you have a 4 to 5 page APA research paper due in week 8. Good luck. No, that's not how this is going to work. We're going to go through it step by step. You're going to get feedback from me along the way, and it's going to be a very, back and forth. It's going to be very immersive, and it's not going to be one huge overwhelming thing that you're responsible for. One thing to keep in mind, though, is you have to get my feedback on each part of the project in order to move on to the next. And you want to do your best to stay on track, meaning submitting them on time, or at least close to on time, so that you don't fall too far behind, because it is a research paper. And it is no fun to have to, to wait until the last minute to do a research paper. Try to stay on track with it. Project part 1 is actually going to be assigned here in week 1. And you're going to choose a topic and engage with that topic a little bit. I'm going to give you a list to choose from. There's 8 topics. They are all related to nursing or the healthcare field in some way. I think that there's enough variety. Most students are able to find one that they really want to work with. So project part 1 will ask you to choose which of those topics you want to use. And then you're going to kind of answer some questions about that topic and what you already know about that topic, what you already think about that topic, what you envision doing in the paper, just to sort of gather your thoughts about your topic. Project part 1 is worth 25 points, and it's basically like a pass or fail. If you submit project part 1 and you have answered all the questions, you'll get the 25 points. If you submit it and you have left some of the questions blank, then you won't receive the full 25 points, but you'll be given a chance to go back and answer those questions to then receive the full points. And obviously, if you don't submit it, you get a 0 on it. And you will be hearing from me on a regular basis that you still need to submit project part 1 because you have to get my feedback on it in order to move on to project part 2 whenever it is assigned. Project part 1 is worth 15% of the overall 45% that the whole course project is worth. Got it? Alright, project part 2. We're going to be working a little bit more with some of the more detailed. We're going to get a little more focused with project part 2. So for project part 2, the first thing that you're going to be asked to do is come up with your thesis statement. If you're not sure what a thesis statement is right now, don't worry. We're going to learn about them. But in project part 2, you're going to tell me what your thesis statement is. You're going to tell me basically what the main points of your essay, your research paper are going to be, what your reasons for, support are, what your main points are. You're going to also be asked in project part 2 to find and list the sources that you're going to use and explain why you're going to use each of those sources. That's pretty much the gist of project part 2. You're still not writing any kind of essay yet, but you're laying the foundation for it. Your thesis statement, your main points, and the sources that you're going to use. It's going to be assigned in week 5. It's going to be assigned in week 4. And during week 5, I'll be reading what you've submitted and giving you feedback on it. All right. It's worth 25 points, just like project part 1. If you answer all the questions and submit it, you'll get the 25 points and my feedback. If you leave something blank, you will not get the full 25 points, but I will give you the option of going back in and answering those missing questions and then getting the full points. You'll still get my feedback either way. If you don't submit it, you'll get a 0, and you'll be hearing from me on a regular basis that you still need to submit project part 2 because you have to submit it in order to move on to project part 3. And project part 2, just like part 1, is worth 15% of the overall 45% that the course project is worth. Right? Project part 3 is the rough draft of the essay. It will be assigned in week 6, and during week 7, I will be reading through your rough draft and giving you very, very detailed feedback and suggestions for improvement. I put a lot of time into these rough drafts because I'm not there in person to work through these things with you. So you will get a lot of written feedback from me on your rough draft. In week 7, there's also a normal homework assignment where you will be conducting a peer review with a classmate. I'm not going to get into the details of how it works right now, but basically you will not only will you submit your rough draft to me, but you will also send your rough draft to an assigned classmate, and they will have a worksheet that they've been given to answer specific questions on about your draft. And then once they are finished with that and I'm finished with your rough draft, you'll get my feedback and your classmates' feedback. Obviously, you want to take my feedback into consideration a little more heavily. But it's nice to get a peer's opinion as well. But as I will mention when we get to that point, the peer review is not just for you getting the feedback from your classmate. It also helps the classmate go through another essay and answer these very targeted questions. So it works for both, right? But the peer review is not part of the course project grade. It's just a regular assignment that if you do it, you get full points for it. If you don't do it, you'll get a 0. But it's in that homework, that assignments and exercises category, so it's not going to make or break your grade. For the course project for part 3, it's all you have to worry about is submitting your rough draft to me. Right? It is worth 25 points, and it is worth 20% of the overall 45% that the course project is worth. And this is definitely one where you want to make sure you get it to me, get my feedback, so that you can do project part 4. Because project part 4 is the final draft. So you'll take the feedback you get from the peer review, the feedback you get from me, and you will make revisions and turn in the final draft. The final draft, project part 4, is worth 50% of that overall 45% that the course project is worth. It is significant. Please, when you get to that point, use my feedback to help you revise. Because getting a D or a C on your final draft will have a significant impact on your overall grade in the class. But if you use my feedback, you should have no problem getting at least a B or an A on the final draft. It will be assigned in week 8, and it will be due the Wednesday of week 9. You'll get plenty of reminders once we get to that point. Okay? But that is the general overview of the course project. It's a research paper in APA format, 3 to 4 sources. We're going to work on it in stages. You're going to get feedback from me every step of the way. So if you are putting forth the effort at each stage, it makes the final process a little bit easier for you. If you have any questions about it right now, feel free to reach out, but just know that, each project part is its own separate assignment. You'll see it the week that it's assigned. It has its own separate instructions. It gets its own separate grade. So you don't have to remember all of this along the way. Again, this is just an overview to give you an idea of what the course project is all about and how it's all going to work. Okay? But if you do have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. Otherwise, you are free to move on to the next item.